I think most of us as entrepreneurs or humans sometimes accidentally walk around half alive. We go through the motions, we survive instead of thrive, we check boxes instead of live, we try to hit timelines instead of enjoying the moment. And today's guest spent 42 years of her life doing exactly that before a moment in her car changed everything. And her story, I can't even summarize it to do it justice. It's not just about overcoming obstacles. It's about truly discovering who you are and what's possible when you decide and you make that decision that I'm truly going to live and extract as much juice out of this life as possible. And so welcome back to the Mind of George Show. This is where we cut through the noise to get real about what it takes to build something meaningful. No crazy tactics, no strategies, no hacks, just honest conversations about aligning who you are with what you do, making a maximum impact doing it. And I am here to help you along the way. And in today's episode, we go into her story, which I can't do it justice, nor do I feel right sharing it. It's only for hers to share, but it will tickle you to the core. It will inspire you to the core. We talk about the wake-up call that changed everything for her. We talk about how we can find purpose in our darkest moments like she did, about why our stories matter more than we think or realize most of the time. And we get really radically honest about mental health and healing. And the thing that I think we all have in common is we all have a story. But what matters isn't what happened to us or what we experienced, it's what we choose to do with it. And today's conversation might actually change how you see your story and how you use it. And so if you've ever felt like you're just too tired of going through the motions, or there's more for you, or you haven't reached your calling and you can't quite grab it, or you've had struggles, but sometimes they're still dragging along as an entrepreneur, as a human, and you want to turn those into strength, like this is a masterclass in personal resiliency and transformation and the exact steps to be able to do it. And so I can't wait for you to hear this episode. I can't wait to share it with you. But the beautiful thing is it's starting right now. So without further ado, let's get into the show.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Mind of George Show. I'm incredibly excited for today's guest for different reasons. She was introduced to me by an incredible friend of mine, Kevin Thompson. Love you, brother. Owe you the world, my friend. And I got to listen to today's guest story, and it touched me on such a deep level and put into perspective so many things of my life. And today's guest, she is a life coach. She is an author, and she is a walking embodiment and example of authenticity, vulnerability, but also grabbing the steering wheel of your life, no matter what circumstances, no matter what situations, and taking over the driving again to create a life that you absolutely love, that you can thrive in. And the challenges that she's faced, the stories that she's faced, the experiences in her life that she's faced are not, I don't feel qualified to share them. She does. And I'm going to let her do this. And this is one of those ones where I'm like, I don't want a bio. I don't want to talk about it. But her mission is so important, because her mission every single day is to teach others to touch each other with compassion and to help us break free from negative thought patterns and really guide us to living a life with peace and purpose, and eliminating the dark thoughts, the negative thoughts, and the things that bump into our way that stop us from living an authentic life. And so I can't do it any more justice than that, but I'm incredibly excited to be joined from a neighbor above me, but in a different country, from Canada. So Neila, welcome to the show.
George, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor knowing about you. I hear so much about you from Kevin, also Kevin Thomas, like I said, very beautiful human being that he is living to connect people to make sure their message get out. And I can say wholeheartedly, I feel so blessed to meet him, and now he introduced me to you. And it's an honor to be on your podcast. I can't wait to start talking and sharing. So as you said to me to go my life bio here directly from
Yeah,
you.
that's what I want you to start. I'm like, give us the story of you. Like, how, let's go straight in as early as you want to go. But like, how did we get here?
So the reasons how we get here is that living life to the fullest. And before I start living the life to the fullest, just like everybody else, we all have a story. Our story is unique to each one of us. None of us has the same story. Never mind, it sounds familiar. And the journey of where I've come to be standing here first person in my family generation to from generation is speaking out to help others it feels so amazing because I find my purpose. God Almighty give me my purpose to walk this path. And I'm going to do this for the rest of my life as long as I have breath. Because without the Almighty, I would not be here to share this message. So, right off the bat, I want to give praise. That's my biggest amen. Amen. I feel we all have a purpose, but not a lot of us has the opportunity to find that. So when we find that purpose and blessing, we need to share that blessing. So
Mm.
my journey started, I'm from, as you said, Canada, I'm living, but I wasn't from here. I grew up in South America, Guyana, a very small country on the map. If you look it up, you may miss it. You may not able to find it. So you know how you see those commercial with children don't have clothes and food and all of that. The clothes part, no, but the food, my dad always make sure that we have. Grew up with a single dad and single parent in the whole is hard to bring up a child on your own. So we grew up with my dad alone. However, you do have obstacles and drama that goes on. So at the age of 8, I was assaulted by a family member. And I'm going to speak here, and anybody who's listening, yes, I'm speaking like a third person because this is how much I've healed. And I can say this openly without attachment. I've lived with this for so many years, but I didn't know why I was going down a dark path, why everything was failing, why everything was going down there. And then school was my only escape as a teenager. I will go to school, I would read my books, I will do my lessons, and then at the age of 13, because family couldn't afford to send me to school, my safe space was snatched away. So then I attempted suicide at the age of 13, not knowing all of these were because of a trauma that happened when I was a little girl. Because as a little girl, what do you know? Something is happening to you. The people that you love are supposed to protect you and take care of you. But how do you understand that? So my little brain couldn't understand any of that. So what happens? Bury and bury, and the brain just kicked in to keep me safe. But when my safe place was taken away, what do I have now? So at the age of 13, I did survive. And then I asked, why did I survive? I look above and I said, oh God, why did I survive? What is the purpose for me? Now, high science, I did not see the purpose then as I do now. So that is an introduction to where I started that downward spiral.
Mm.
And
So you grew up in
yeah,
Guyana with a single father, no electricity, no running water, and I've never been there, but it is a very small country. I am aware of that. And after being assaulted, you utilized education as kind of your safe space. It was a place to give that energy until you got to 13 and then had one of those pivotal
yeah,
moments. And I know one of the things that you talk about, and I'm so grateful that you share your story as well. I just want to say thank you for sharing. And I know there's a lot more to come, but also I was one of those people that suffered in silence
yes,
for a long time. You know, a good majority of my life where people would look at me and they'd assume I had it all together. They would assume I was happy, but the demons and the darkness was very, very real. And I didn't have the courage or the confidence to share that. And that's something that you do now. And so 13, what happened after 13?
So after 13, there's no, you become robot, I would call it.
Mm.
And how does a child knows wrong from right, difference? There's no difference. So you just cover, and I guess the brain is a powerful thing. It protects you at all costs. And like I know now I understand all of these things, so I can talk more about it, but then I didn't. So I become in a moving robotic, I would call it zombie walk. Then at the age of 17, sorry, my dad died at the age of 15. So there is another ding. And my sister, I had two other siblings, and my sister, who was very, very close to me, she actually completed suicide when I was the age of 17. And I had a baby at the age of 17 because back home it's not abnormal to for that age. That is where the transition that I get to come to Canada is. It's because
Okay, so before we get into that, though, I just want to make sure. So you lost your father at 15, and then you lost your sister to suicide at 17, and then you became a single mother at 17 as well in Guyana.
Well, I wasn't a single mother at that point.
Okay.
My son was born when I was 17. I was in a relationship, and the family that I was with, in-laws, very beautiful soul people. We always say that the Lord sent people in our path when we most need it. And that was for me. After my dad died, didn't know what's going to happen, where I'm going, everything like that. And this was a neighbor that rescued me. And I, again, don't know what's going to happen. So I take my rescue and I do what I had to do to survive. There was no complaining, no nothing. I got a roof above my head and food to eat. That's all that matters to me at that point, is to be safe. I carry on, and I was very lucky. I would say lucky, but I don't like to use the word lucky. I use the word bless. The unforeseen that not we all question now and again has different path and different purpose for us. And again, can't see that. I enter a new religion. I did all the things, right things. Every single thing I do was the right thing from my heart. No question asked. So my husband came over to Canada with his family as immigration stuff works. So when he came over, we were going through sponsorship, and he developed leukemia. And unfortunately, at the age of 20, we had to come over with emergency visa, and he did not make it. So then I was a widow at the age 20 with a son. So what I want listeners to hear is that you see what's happening in the 5 years from 15 to 20. I asked myself, how did I get through this? And the way that I get through everything is without even thinking, but prayers. I feel that it's the only thing that I could have done, because it's all that I know, is the only thing that I had. And I have to shout out to my in-laws at that time, did not let me down, did not let me go, because you never hear in-laws sponsoring people, and this is what happened to me. Immigration asked if they will sponsor me, I will get to stay. If not, I will have to go back. Now, it's never heard of ever before. Again, you cannot question the Almighty. Things that never happened before has happened for me. So that was my journey. But how do you live in a strange country with a young child, and the culture is very different? And remember, I said I didn't finish school. So I don't even have an education to go on. So here I am. Again, I was very supportive by family, but inside of you, how do you live? So I try the best I can, but suicide was never far out. It was always there. I'm living with it, and trying to cope. And every day I go by, I'm trying to cope. My son, God bless his heart, beautiful kid. He grew up. Then I got into relationships again. I had a beautiful daughter 6 years later. And she, again, my marriage failed again because I got so much baggage inside of me I'm just surviving. So when you go into a relationship and you're only surviving, that person, you can't give that person what they need.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't see that again at the same time. We just blame each other, we fight, and we carry on. But the baggage that I had, I couldn't even see it for myself. So how can somebody else see that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So yeah, so that is the journey after my dad, and still I brought both the kids up majority of their lives. Since my daughter was 7 years old, I brought them up on my own.
Mm.
My daughter complete university. Don't ask me how I did it again. Don't know. When the money was coming, I don't know where it's coming from, but I know it appears. I just put my faith, and I'm going through the motions of living. Then I had a miraculous moment. When I tell you miraculous, miraculous, I don't know how else. I just gonna speak it openly because I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how else to do it. I told you I was living with suicide thoughts for all these years. And one day I was planning my own funeral. I went to the store to buy the stuff so the children wouldn't have to worry. And I said this before, and I never tell the kids anything, but they know mommy was always suffering because one used to run with an aspirin bottle and one used to run with with water because I thought I was having heart attack.
Mm.
And so this day I'm sitting in my car, and whoever believe in miracle will understand, and who don't, I will try my best to help you understand. I sitting there and contemplating all the plans that I'm doing, and something happened that everything stopped, and I was the only one alive. I was the only one alive in this world, and that is when the snap moment came. If I'm the only one alive right now, what would this feel like to be alive? And that was the haha moment for me, that says that before I try to put all my energy in wanting to kill myself, and that's putting it blunt, why not try to experience what it's like to live?
Mm.
That was the turning point for me. And that took me 42 years. 42 years to get that revelation.
Wow. All right. So I'm just going to take a breath
Yes,
and
please. It's
say thank you
heavy.
again.
It's heavy,
Yeah.
but it's that's just who. Yeah.
I don't think it's heavy. It's close to me. It's very close to me as somebody who attempted his life and struggled with addictions. And
Mhm.
I'd say I was 35, so maybe 6 years ago, even though people would look at me and be like, but you had it all together. I'm like on the outside.
Yes.
And I'd even submit now at 41,
Mhm.
where I'm like truly living and happy for the first time. And I wouldn't label it heavy. I think it's labeled heavy because of how uncommon society has made it to talk about the struggles that people have and how suppressed it is and how many people silently struggle.
Yes.
But there's not a safe space to share it and not be judged for it or ridiculed for it or demoted for it, or, you pick the label. But I just wanted to take a breath to let it all in. And, for everybody listening, my heartfelt gratitude for you for sharing, number one. Number two, for being an example and shifting perspective very quickly. And, I have a son who's 8, and I can't imagine being an immigrant. And I lost my father young to cancer, and I've lost friends to suicide, and those moments broke me. But I didn't have a son. I didn't have
Hmm.
something to push. And then you stack the education on top of it, and in a foreign country, and you're like, I just kept going and praying and kept going and praying. And I'm like, I don't know if I would have crawled out of a hole. I probably would have curled up in the fetal position. And so I just want to thank you for, number one, being so vulnerable and sharing authentically. And for everybody listening too, make sure when we share where to connect with her, like you share your gratitude as well. And so I'd love to hear, after this moment, which that miracle sounds absolutely beautiful. I've had a couple of moments like that in my life, but the question of like, what would it actually look like to live and shift that perspective, and glory to God. And he is so good. But what transpired after that? Like, where did that lead you? Where did that kind of guide you? What did you start to do after that point?
That point, I start getting curious. So the curiosity of what is living look like, because remember, I wasn't living, so I don't know what living means. I know what surviving means, but I don't know what living means. So I had to dive. I had to search. So I start my journey by reading anything I can get on my hands on. And while I was going through all of this, I actually put myself through school and finished my GED.
Of course you did.
I work nights and I go to school during the day with two young children. And I got my GED. So that now says, yes, you can do this. So every day I will try to do a journal. It's not easy because I don't know a living. So you go backwards, you go forward, you go backwards, you go forward, you go backwards. I had journal everywhere in my house, my living room, my bedroom, everywhere. Thank bless my children's heart, they never opened it. And I didn't know all of this was helping me. But as I get into the dark spiral of my head, I start writing. Everything and anything, it comes through my head, through the pen, onto the book. That is the one of the things I will always say, journal saved my life. So every time I sit on the couch by myself and going through that dark place, I journal. After that, I start going for walks, start going to the gym, start eating healthy. So I did a whole 180 turn in my life. That didn't come just like that. It's taking the time, the desire that I want to learn, and the desire and the willingness that I want to live. Because without that desire, that wanting to live and learn, I will not be able to sit here and turn my life around 180. Can anybody do it? Yes. You have to learn, you have to have the will. It's not as easy as I said it because there was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of fall down, get back up. One of the things I've never done, I've never stayed down. I've never stayed down. Even if I was creeping, crawling back up, I was. I've mentioned earlier, I didn't know where the money was going to come from. But I put my daughter, the bills were paid, I had a job, but there is a lot of things as a single parent. Now, one of the things you must do, you have to believe in the unseen, the powerful, and that is the secret to have an open mind and trust. If I didn't trust the knowledge I was gaining, I would have questioned everything. But you have to be able to acknowledge you're not going to stand up and stay standing. You will fall. You will get up. And you have to stand up and say, I will continue and I will try again. That was the first starting point for me. And I haven't stopped up to today. I continue educating myself, continue to take things that I know will establish. The reason why I became a life coach, I was using it to educate myself, to grow myself, and realize that there's so many other people need this. And where did the book I didn't even think, like, look at me, who the heck gonna think I'm gonna write a book? Where would I know how to write a book? I still don't have a university degree or anything like that. I have a high school degree and a life of experience and continuous learning, continuous taking courses from people who will elevate me into the person that I want to be. Because if you don't want to be that person, you can't help somebody else. You
Mm.
have to help yourself first. And where I am, the book came out through the journaling that I was doing.
Mm.
Because somebody knew I was journaling, and then I was helping so many people. I was the workplace coach and family coach.
Fitting. I can see that.
It was an employee who actually told me to put all of this in a book, and I'm like, yeah, right. Then someone happened to came across my path, heard about that, and it's like, okay, here we go. So 3 years ago, this book came alive. One thing that I did, which again, not a lot of people, you write a book, you sell it. I sold this book for the price the author published for. Because the reason I wrote it was to help people. And I think it was $6 that I
Mm.
sold this book for. And it sold about 200 copies. And you know the best thing that I had? Were you in my home when you wrote this book? Were you in my head? So when people relate to it and able to use some of the lessons, I've done my job that the Almighty had given me the purpose to do for this portion.
Wow. Okay. There's so much, but I wanna ask a
Yep.
question because I loved your in this miraculous moment and realizing that you'd spent your life surviving. And I think for anybody listening, this could be anything that you're silently struggling with. It could be changing careers. It could be leaving a relationship. It could be launching a new business. It could be changing your business. It could be changing a goal, wanting to lose weight. Like there's a lot of things that I think a lot of us, and I'm making a statement here, struggle with silently,
Yes.
and then we feel stuck in them
Mm,
and we stay down. And I loved how you said the first thing that you had to get was
that's
curious.
correct.
And as you were talking about being curious, you also started talking about all the ways in which I would define it as you showed love to
Yes.
yourself. You started eating clean, you started prioritizing your health and like treating this vessel that God inhabits with respect. And it led you down this path. So, besides curiosity, what are some of the other either principles or tangible things that you really focused on in all of these seasons to be able to help you, for lack of a better analogy, rewrite your story into something positive?
Yeah. The biggest thing is me taking uncomfortable action,
Mm.
because comfort is staying where you are. So at the age of 30, 35, 40, who would want to go back to school? So the desire comes in. Without the desire, you have nothing. Many of us are scared of what people are saying about us. One of the things I tell everybody, how do you show your self-love? We think if I do something for myself, that's selfish. But I call it not selfish self-love. You have to put yourself, so every day I will I will take gratitude for something that I have accomplished, and if I didn't, it's okay. I have a routine which is keep sustain what I'm trying to do for myself. I wake up an hour early before I'm still in the I'm a little bit become an overachiever right now.
You don't say.
I'm still in the corporate world, so I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So from 4 to 5, I am doing my meditation, my stretches, um, all the things that I need to do to prepare my body
Mm-hmm.
to start my day. If I play lazy and I get up late, I have to be okay. What is it? Which one of these things that I'm going to give up that I'm not going to get done without being upset about it? Because I made the choice to get up late. So that is the groundwork that I do every single day. I build a routine to sustain what I need to do for the vessel that I have. I want everybody who's listening to know that your body, if you don't take care of that vessel and that body, you're not going to be able to sustain the curiosity to carry on, because curiosity don't stop. And for me, I'm going to continue being curious because it is one of the fundamental steps that I took for myself. Building a routine every morning helps me to start my day. And the biggest thing is everybody needs to keep a gratitude journal. We should be grateful, but saying it, writing it, you're able to see for yourself what is it. And the next thing is, did you learn something today? So I have a little note thing in my phone. If I hear something, can you repeat that? And this can be from anybody. This can be driving and passing a billboard. What is something that we learn? We have to learn one thing every day. So talking about how do I accept for curiosity, this is how I do things. And I'm not afraid now to ask and speak.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm gonna get to that in a minute. I'm gonna
My
get to
brother,
that in a minute.
my brother was always worried about me because I was a very, very quiet introvert child.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came to Canada, he didn't know what's gonna happen. So when he saw me, he's like, "What happened to you?" I said, "Having kids and being a boss. That's what. That's what."
You're a boss already.
The curiosity that I picked up, I think it's where it's going to take me. My purpose here is to serve people. And for me to serve people, I also need to take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody that wanted to know how to go step by step, always remember we are going to fail because failure is part of growth. Don't give up. I'm still learning how to do different things, and I'm going to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't try for perfection because there's no such thing.
No, just progress.
Yeah. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, it did. And I want to summarize to it for a minute, and then I want to come back to desire, because there are so many powerful things that you said, and I just want to hit a few of them anecdotally for the breakthroughs I've had in my life. Number one, earlier when you were sharing your story, you alluded to the darkness and the suicidal ideations and those thoughts, and I struggled with those for a lot of my life, but it was because I kept them trapped in my brain.
Yeah.
And similar to you, pen to paper. I even wrote this quote a couple of years ago, and I said, the pen is the path to my freedom.
I like that.
And what it really was it allowed me to express my thoughts, my fears, my questions, and even my gratitudes, but seeing them outside of me changed my perspective on them. But it also allowed me the cathartic process of releasing them by putting pen to paper. And over the years, I've learned that it's any expression that gets it out of the devil in the details in our brain and brings it out. So I love that. And I also love how much you talk about consistency and really the discipline underneath it. It's like I'm creating this bumper or these rituals.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I teach on this podcast, and I've taught a ton, and even in entrepreneurship, because you and I coach people, but I coach on the business front, you're on the life front, and I'm sure on the business front. But I tell everybody that there's two games that we're playing simultaneously. There's the playbook that we're executing, but there's the player who's executing the plays.
Yes.
And the player tends to be the most neglected place. And it's the one that, well, I'll do it later. And to your point, I'll be lazy this morning. I'll skip it. I'll do X, Y, Z. But then the world ends up dictating how we feel, and it gets in the way of our progress. And like hearing you talk about this as a single mother who experienced all of the experiences and the situations you did. And now even you're like, I'm up at 4 to 5 is my time. It's where I'm planting and sowing those seeds for my future, for this curiosity. And you talked about desire. And I want to talk about desire for a minute, because I don't think I've used that word or heard that word in 600 episodes on this podcast, but I love it. I love it. I talk about why, but I love desire. And you said, you know, your curiosity is fueled by your desire, but your desire is the thing that keeps you going every
Yes.
day. And so what is desire for you? And then for, you know, somebody listening, like what questions can they ask themselves, or practices can they use, or things can they think through or experience to try to find that desire or that fire?
So one of the one of many. First of all, ask yourself the question, what is your purpose? A lot of us don't realize there's a higher power that will answer you. We're going around blind, thinking everything that we're doing is our purpose, and we're missing our purpose. You laugh.
I'm laughing because it's true.
If we ask that question, it shows up in subtle ways, not blunt in your face, because you need to be observant. We all need to observe.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to get that answer in a subtle way. But when you get it, you have to be able to acknowledge that is my purpose. Then the desire automatically kicks in because that's what you were born to do. If you don't want to ask that way, what is one of the things you really, really like? What is one of the things that you really want to do? Then how much burning desire is it that you want to do it? So we have it all inside of us, but none of us wants to take that time to look from within. We're looking for it from outside for other people to give it to us. That's why we don't get what we want. We're looking for validation from everybody outside. We're looking for somebody to give us the recipe for ourselves.
Yep. Preach, girl. Preach.
You have to have that inner desire for something that you want. If it's weight loss, if it's fixing your emotions, one of the things in my coaching that I do, I don't tell you what to do and I cannot fix you. I can guide you from internally so you fix yourself with guidance. Because we all have the answer from within, it's just we can't find it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're looking for the external validation. Those are the things that we as human being needs to understand, and you find your deep burning desire for what you want. I was learning my daughter at this age, I know how to drive a car, but I don't know how to ride a bicycle. My daughter was teaching me to ride a bicycle, but why did I actively want to ride a bicycle? Because again, I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't have the desire, I don't have the desire to ride a bicycle, so I didn't learn. It's parked up in the shed. Now this year I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to that desire that I park up. Deep down inside of us, we all have something that we need to look inwards. Do not look for validation from somebody else outside, even if it's your spouse or your child or your parents.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot validate what you have inside. So that's where the desire comes from.
I love that. I think something else that I would submit is that I think a lot of us have never given ourselves the permission slip to ask ourselves what we truly want.
Yes.
Right. And we end up, for lack of better metaphor, robotic, right? We check the boxes, we hit the tasks every day. We do these actions that end up draining our desire because we haven't created the space or asked the question of what we truly desire. And it's interesting that you say this, because one of my aha moments, like your car moment, happened in the jungles of Costa Rica. And it was around purpose. And it was like when I was successful, but I was suicidal, I was depressed, I was addicted to opiates, I was all these different things. And I was down there to do a healing retreat with breath work and ayahuasca. And they wouldn't let me participate, one of the leaders. And he's like, I won't let you participate because you think this is going to give you an answer and that this is going to fix you. And I was like, yeah, that's why I'm here. That's why I paid all this money and I flew down to the frickin' jungle. Like, give me the pill. Like, give me the pill. And he looked at me and he said, I'll let you participate when you can tell me what the purpose is for your life.
Yes.
And then I looked at him and I used very many expletives. I don't cuss anymore. I'm a godly man. And I, for lack of a better analogy, said, how the heck am I going to find that answer? And then instead of answering me, he answered me with another like parable. And he's like, your biggest problem is you've never been quiet enough to hear God's whispers.
Correct.
And I was like, yep, okay. And I was angry at this point. I was yelling, I was crying because I was so frustrated. I was at like the ropes and like everything was quote unquote falling apart when it was actually God putting me together. And then he let me sit in it and he said, I just want you to get a pen and a piece of paper. And this speaks to your journaling note. And he said, I just want you to write on the top of the paper, what's my purpose? And he's like, you can come back when you have an answer. And to your point earlier of like, you're going to stumble, you're going to fall down. It doesn't come instantly. It took 2 days before I had anything to write on that paper. And I sat alone in my room, isolated. And I went through every emotion, every frustration, every fear. I was asking, I was yelling out to God. I was in all these conversations. And then the next morning I woke up and it's like my body walked itself to the paper with the pen and picked it up and I had no control over it. And it wrote my purpose and I'll never forget it. This was 10 years ago. And my purpose that I wrote down was to stand with structure in the face of resistance to create possibility. And similar to you, it made every single thing that I'd ever experienced in my life a tool that I could use to help people achieve something. But it didn't come to fruition instantly.
Oh.
I came home and it was like another 24 months of having to get up every day and like bite by bite. Like there were days that I had to just have gratitude. I brushed my teeth. And there were days, the only thing I was celebrating is that I actually showered for the first time in 4 days when I was like in the thrux of depression. But then I fast forwarded and magically my branding ended up as a lighthouse. And I was like, that's the definition of oh no, holy moly. God, you're so good. And so I just think there's so much value in what you share, but also for everybody listening, we end up, to your point, getting validated by all these people or who they want us to be, who they think we should be. And we end up chameleons to all these things. But what it costs us is our true happiness and our desire to know ourselves. And we have to ask ourselves, like, what is it that we truly desire? And so I love the way that you explained that. And I had to share that because I was like, yep, girl, you're speaking my love language. Like this is 100%.
Well, I'm glad. I'm actually glad that I'm speaking to you and you can relate to that. And the reasons why a lot of people hear these speeches and they're like, yeah, right, you're not for real. You have to go there and you have to go deep. It is not the surface. You will never find your purpose on the surface. And we will always we will always live our life according to our environment if we don't find our purpose. Environment shapes us. One of the things I do not do anymore is I don't relive my life story in a negative way.
Yep.
I don't. I say what happened, move to the positive and all the lessons that it's teach me. I don't go around singing I'm a victim. I don't go around singing that because I am not a victim. I have learned my lesson of life, what life has thrown to me, and now I'm moving it forward. I reframe my whole everything that happened because it's my life lesson. I had to learn that so that I can come forward and help the people who are stuck. That's why I use the phrase I help others speak their truth. Like that's my motto, your voice matters. We live in silence for everything. Every single thing. People don't know they have a right to speak. And thank you. I want to say thank you because you don't nobody wants this language on their platform. There's so many people did not accept speaking. They wanted me to change the word suicide. They wanted me to change the word trauma. And I said no. I said no. This is the reason why people are scared because they're not allowed to speak freely.
I think it's an epidemic in our society, which is, these prisons that are created that we don't realize the key is actually speaking authentically and vulnerably, which I also applaud you for. And what you do share and what you have shared resonates deeply. And even to your point about we have to go deep, it's a process. But I also look at it of when I lived in that prison of surviving, I was just empty because there was no purpose. There was nothing. It was genuinely just like I'm checking a box. It was like Groundhog Day over and over and over. And I love your point about curiosity and forever learning, because now I realize the only finish line that exists, we're all going to face, and I'll be in heaven forever, but I don't want it any sooner than his plan for me is. And so why am I going to act and operate like I've achieved this finish line or that I'm done? Because it's a gift to wake up, and it's a gift to have breath. And even to your point about gratitude, it's a gift to be able to be grateful because, you know, there's air in my lungs.
Yes.
And I woke up this morning. And so I love this conversation.
I said one of the things that I said to everybody, I had to accept death in order to wanting to live. Because we all have to go one day. But when that time comes, I will be okay. I will be okay. But until then, I will do what I got to do.
1,000%. I was sitting in prayer a couple of months ago, and I was deep in my Bible, and it hit me. And I was sitting here and I'm reading my Bible, and I was reflecting on this like living thing, right? And maybe I'd heard it from a pastor in passing, but it has not left me since. And I say it like 50 times a day. And I'll be sitting in a moment, whether I'm ruminating or even if I'm doing something positive. And I was like, would I be acting the same if Jesus was in the room? And you want to talk about a pattern interrupt, imagining God is sitting right next to me. And I'm like, oh, and then instantaneously, like my whole body shifts and I'm like, and he is.
Yes.
And then it's like this massive pattern interrupt, like, oh, you know what? I can, put the laundry away. I can go accomplish that thing. I can go share that story. I can go do that work thing, right? Like to just be in the process. And to your point, be consistent in it, because we don't want there to be a finish line, which I love hearing in your story.
But imagine if you had says, what would you do if Jesus was sitting next and you just stop? I said, oh my God, I can't move. You'd reframe that and you change that pattern. Like some people would say, I can't do it. I got to stay right here. It is a mind game.
And it's a muscle.
Yes.
And this is why, and I'm going to ask you about this, but I'm going to frame this too, because you made a point about, I don't relive my story. Well, somebody like me, who's a public figure with podcasts and videos for 15 years, I didn't realize that one of my biggest hangups was the fact that every time somebody asked me about my story, I shared it in a lens that they felt bad for me, so that I stayed stuck in that cycle. And it wasn't until I had some deep time alone where I'm like, wait, hold on. I'm recreating this over and over. And I looked at myself, and that's where the pen to the path to freedom came up. And I said, I was more comfortable reading the old book than I was picking up a pen to write a new story.
Yes.
And I used to have handicap plates on my car because I got injured on deployment and I'm 100% disabled. And I would use them and I'd be like, cool. My daughter's like, we're going to Disney, front row parking. And I had them for years, and I didn't realize, just to your point about environment, that alone kept me in this victim mentality, kept me in this victim state. And it was subtle. It was subtle. It wasn't loud. It wasn't like, oh, I'm blank. And I would never take a spot if somebody needed it, but I used it. And then I'll never forget, one day I took it off the car and I turned it in. I'm like, give me normal plates. And I started parking in the back of the parking lot. And then magically I lose 100 pounds and I'm in like the best shape of my life. And I'm like, oh, this was here the whole time. But I love that you talk about this, because the recovering personal development coach in me also wants to say that, for you, it was 42 years. For me, it was 35. There's 35 years of episodic memory and muscle memory of this old way, which means to rewrite it is a muscle. It's no different than a workout. It is, in the very beginning, and even now, it's catch, reframe, catch, reframe, catch, reframe, catch, reframe. And some days it's 1,000 times, and other days I'm like, hey, today was a great day. It only happened like 3 times. but it's shifting our perspective.
And it's our story. It's ours. It's never going to leave us. However, you don't have to relive it. Because the more you relive it, the more you become a victim to yourself. And
Yep.
it's happening to you without not even knowing that it is.
Yes.
This is where my job now is to help people see you do not have to relive your story to heal. This is the difference between coach and therapy.
Yep.
So I help people reframe. It doesn't even matter if you lost someone to suicide. I show you how we all got to go somehow, somewhere, someday. How can you use those memories, the good memories, to move forward instead of this one bad memory? So, my job for the rest of my breathing life is to help people reframe that. You do not have to relive your past in a traumatizing way.
I love that. And that's where the book comes in.
Yes.
So actually, because and the book is called
Unleash, discover your true desire and become the happiest person you know. And the read that for that is that book is very scripted and detailed. I did not let the editor change the book. I wanted to change wording. No, no, no. Then it becomes your book, not mine. I'm a high school girl. I write it in my own way. It's in language that anybody can read. And it tells you, it doesn't tell you, a lot of people bought the book who know me thinking, oh, juicy gossip. It shares issue that I had, but how I overcome them with the lesson that I've learned. That's what the book is most about. Can you take this lesson that I've learned and turn it, make it your own, take it, do whatever you want, but make it your own and see how I come out of that problem? How in a positive way. There's absolutely nothing, it shares a bit of heartbreak and being a widow and all of this. And how did I come up living in a country that I never seen snow before? And I came the 26th of January.
Good old Ontario winter to fall into.
So with a 2-year-old kid, and how did I overcome? And I've been a supervisor. I've been working for this company for 32 years. I've been a supervisor for almost 27. But how did I do that and I was going through half of these issues, but how did I stay up there? It's amazing with what the mind can do for you.
1,000%. And for everybody wondering too, it also has questions and things for you to find your desires and do this. And I want to make a point about what you just made. There wasn't I healed and then I did this in the business, or I healed and then I became the boss. It was a simultaneous journey, which in my world, because let's be honest, coaching people to scale their business is like being Dr. Phil in business 90% of the time and business strategist 10% of the time, right? Yeah. But the difference between therapy and coach is, and I got to this place in my life too, is I was like, I can heal in the process of growing. Yes. Right. And it's actually astronomically faster and more effective to be in that process. And what I love about how you share your story and what you put in the book is that you can relate to your story for anybody who's going to go read it, which I would submit all of you should, but also see yourself in it and realize that the game of life continues, but you get to fill your bucket and find your purpose and heal and rewrite those stories in the process of still living. There's not a pause on this. No. And then I'm going to do all this. I tried that, by the way. It cost me almost everything. Didn't work. I just ended up disappeared from business for 2 years. And then I was like, oh, that was a stupid move. I probably should have made this easier and done both at the same time. And so I love that. And, you know, I'm just curious too, because I think I think every single human can relate to this conversation in some degree, right? And, you know, the word trauma, by the way, I just want to celebrate your conviction. Thank you. Like, no, you're not changing the book. No, I'm not changing my topics. No, I'm not going to do this. This is what I'm going to, like, yes, all day, go, right? These like labels that have been put on these things that are real human experiences blow my mind, because it doesn't allow people to feel safe to express and to realize that we're all human and we all go through it. And so, for anybody listening, there's big T trauma. There's things that happen that are bad and are hard. There's also little T trauma. There's the trauma of the way your boss talked to you, or the way a client talked to you, or a friend who said something that hurt your feelings, right? Like, I think everybody can relate in this conversation to moments where we haven't expressed our truth,
Yeah.
where we haven't used that voice, as you say, that our voice matters. And so, I'm curious for you, as we get near to landing this plane, like, what are some of the practical ways that people can start to truly like unleash, in your language, but besides the things that you've shared, to allow them to not wait till there's a finish line, but to start buying it back bite by bite and implementing bite by bite, whether it's, questions to ask themselves, or things to reflect on, or practices to take into account and to use every day. I would just love some of your like practical wisdom for people listening.
The number one thing is finding that, giving yourself that one thing that you would do every single day. Is it go for a
Mm-hmm.
walk? Is it journaling? Something. Using your voice is, you can do that in many, many ways. You don't have to write a book if you don't want to. You don't have to get up and speak publicly if you don't want to. You can write it in a journal. You can write poetry, singing. There's so many different ways that you can use your voice. You can even talk to somebody. You can even get involved in a group settings, somewhere where there's a group. If anybody's part of a group, share your story. That's the one. But you must start somewhere, and that's somewhere I can't tell the person that's listening where, because it's authentic to that person. For me, I've set my goals, I've set my routine, I'm building my muscle. And every so often, I will throw a curveball at that routine so that I build a new muscle gradually. Because if I continue doing the same thing over and over every day for the rest of my life, I'm not going to build new muscle. So in the morning, my routine, but in the afternoon, I may do something different. Each one of us has to start with one thing. Don't try to do 20, because you're going to go flat and you're going to give up. Do one thing. And the most important thing, if you didn't do it every day, don't be mad. Don't be mad and push it aside. But that everybody has to look at that one thing. And I'm going to ask you, George, what is that one thing you do for yourself every day? And I'm going to say, you must pray every day.
Mm-hmm.
Same here.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it doesn't matter where I am. I have to do my prayers. It's something I'm not going to give up. So somebody has to figure out, what is that one thing you find satisfaction? Not by eating. By eating that stuff. Is that one thing you need to do? And for me, is my prayers, that nothing comes between that.
Mm-hmm.
If I wake up late, that is never an option.
Mm-hmm.
The stretching can be, the meditation can be the option, but not the prayers. So there's one thing for me that nothing cross that. Nothing is going to make me not do this.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I'm going to go on a limb and says the same for you.
Yep.
And everybody has to find that one thing. Did that answer?
That 100% answered the question. And I think for everybody listening, this is an invitation to even create some time and space out of your normal routine. Like, if you're always working the same office, go sit by a lake or go to a coffee shop and just get a pen to paper, leave the phone away, and ask yourself, like, maybe what is my purpose, or what is that one thing that I could gift myself every single day?
And George, I want to
Because
say it's important. We have a phone and it has a note, but it's more important to put the pen to paper.
100%. There's brain science on this. There's studies on this. There's doctors that'll tell you. I'll bring them on the podcast to tell you. I promise you, pen to paper. I use sticky notes like that's nobody's business. They're stuck everywhere. And then I use whiteboards because I like writing bigger, but I'm like, and it just helps me process. And so I think for everybody listening, it's just an invitation. Even if you know that one thing, maybe revisit it. How can you take it deeper? How can you turn that into a desire? I love that you talk about, you pick something that's going to give you the muscle in the future. And so you start practicing it now. And it's really, really powerful. And so I would love to know where the best place for everybody to connect with you is.
As soon as you Google my name, Neila Ramsingh, on Google, everything comes up: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And the book is on Amazon again.
Yeah. And I'll make sure that for everybody listening, I'll make sure I put all the links in the show notes, and it's easy for you. And so the book I'd highly recommend. It's called Unleash, Discover Your True Desire and Become the Happiest Person You Know. And I will link, just because, I don't know, spelling her name, Neila Ramsingh, is great. And I will spell it for everybody listening. It's Neila space Ramsingh.
Correct.
And so I just tested it on Google. I typed it in. She's the first result. So you will see it. It does all pop up. That's the benefit of having a unique name. Apparently there was professional baseball George Bryant's and basketball George Bryant's. And so I'm trying to take over my name thing, but thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing so authentically. I know we could have done an 8-hour podcast on your story, but I also love what you shared. And I hope that for everybody listening, that something resonated. And so my one question for you, as we wrap the show, as all the links will be in the show notes, no matter what platform you're on for people listening, is imagine that everybody listening forgot everything that we talked about. They're like, oops, I forgot the whole conversation, but they're going to remember this one part. And my question is for you, is in this moment that they'll remember, what is your tattoo wisdom that you would want to impart on their soul to take in their life?
I will preach this forever and ever. My motto, I printed on t-shirts. I have it on my website. Your voice matters.
Mm-hmm. Your voice matters, and it's only effective if you use
That's
it.
correct.
So use it.
This platform, George, thank you. This platform has given me the opportunity to be myself, to speak truly. And one of the reasons I don't accept things, if I can't be myself, it's very difficult for me to be somebody else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're really good at being you. So be all of you.
Thank you.
Because I loved it. I feel the boss in there. I'm like, oh, you will just like run circles around me. I'm like, yeah, you're like so convicted. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. For everybody listening, this is one of those conversations that I think needs to be more prevalent and present in all of our lives, whether it's the people that we're close with, the people that we care about, and whether it's little T or big T. I think this is an invitation for all of us to create deeper connection with those around us, to share our story, which unlocks everybody else's ability to share theirs and to relate on what truly matters in being a human being, which is relationships. And these conversations I love, I enjoy. I thoroughly enjoyed a lot of today and got a whole lot of conviction in me out of it, given the season I'm in. And so thank you. And, for everybody listening, if anything landed for you, if anything tickled, if anything was inspired by you, my one ask is that you please reach out to Neila personally and just thank her, share gratitude, let her know what landed. I know it would make her happy. You can find her on all the platforms. We'll have them all linked in the show notes: Instagram, LinkedIn, the book, and all of it. But my one ask is that don't allow this to just become shelf help. Whatever resonated today, whatever part of the story that she shared or I shared, if it landed for you, I like to remind you that that's God calling. So just pick up the phone and just see what happens on the other side of it. So Neila, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, George. Appreciate it.
Of course. So for everybody listening, this has been another episode of the Mind of George Show. So as always, you will either see me in the next episode or you will hear me in your earballs. But either way, And just more credence to what I say all the time, relationships will always beat algorithms, especially the one with yourself. So you don't have to take it from me. Neila said it. And so have a beautiful day and God bless.